Okay, so welcome back to the Science Advancement Podcast Show. We are back again with yet another exciting episode of the Science Advancement. Joined with Jones Mokuta. Yo, you good? Alright, man. Hi.
Good.
Okay, that's nice. So we're going to be discussing multiple advancements in the fields of science when we're talking about different stuff. But I ain't going to be talking too much. My man is going to be doing most of the discussion, as the man in charge of this project and research. So he's going to be giving us some insights on some of the topics that we're going to be discussing today. I'm going to be talking about like three things in relation with advancements of science, things that are happening currently in the science fields. We're having some multiple advancements which are intriguing, and Jones Mokuta is just going to give us a bit of insight in these fields. So, Jones, before we go into the discussion, maybe you just love to, greet the people.
Hey people, what's up? Thank you for joining us today. Trust me, we have a whole good amount of information for you guys. I hope you stay tuned and subscribe, share, spread the news.
Okay. So, this is quite intriguing, man. Like, I really don't understand, but I want you to explain, So they're saying that there's a drug called CPT31 to possibly stop HIV from entering cells. How true? Because maybe before you go and answer, this cure of HIV and AIDS, it's been an issue for years now. Over I don't know if it's 20 plus years, people have been talking about cure for HIV and AIDS, and we've not found one. And to make matters worse, we're fighting a pandemic which cure, no source of cure. But I just want you to give us an insight on this newly discovered drug that can stop the virus from entering cells.
Okay, so first of all, this was done by the University of Utah, their health and research department. So it's not necessarily a cure for the disease, but I would call it's more of a slowing down mechanism, something that we could use for preventive measures and things like that. So if I go take you through with what happens is, when we look at the virus itself, when it enters the body, it targets cells that are called T cells, that some form of lymphocytes. These are white blood cells that really fight diseases and things like that. So it attacks such cells, and then it has this genetic mutation thing that it has. So it replaces the DNA conformation of the human being of the host, and it replaces it with its own RNA conformation. So the point of this research is they found a way that they could stop the virus from entering the cell. They found a way that could stop the virus from doing multiple mutations in the cell. So it would be more of a slowing down process. For somebody who already has the disease, it wouldn't necessarily cure it, but it would stop that multiplication of viruses or genetic information of the virus itself in the human body. And what makes this drug so special is that it's inspired by this D-peptide nature of it. And if you look at this peptide nature of it, it's something that can be used in, if I should say, long-term acting drugs. So that means it will reduce the frequency at which patients have to take these drugs, since as at now patients have to take multiple drugs here and now, every now and then. So with this drug, if it can be perfected, it would reduce the frequency at which they take it. That would mean it would actually even lessen the cost, so it would give a better life to patients. And if we do our science right, who knows, it could even could be a gateway to the cure itself. So yeah.
Interesting, huh? The explanation there, man, is coming out very well. I love how you're coming out and just giving a good explanation, because now I'm like, how am I even going to ask the question from challenging? I completely lost that. Okay, so maybe just to ask this question, did you think, isn't it going to cost a lot of money? Like, how much money if you were to estimate? Because, quite true, this issue of taking drugs here, then I'm sure it's tiring. These people get tired sometimes. They're like, okay, I'm just going to stop, I'm just going to quit. Like, after hours you have to take. So, do you think it's going to be affordable for each and every person in different countries across the globe if it was to be implemented, and maybe if it was to, okay, it's here, people can now start using it? Like, would it cost a lot?
I don't really think it would cost a lot. Looking at the pharmaceuticals we have as of now, and looking at how most of these ARVs have been spread out, even though they haven't really been spread out globally at a level that we wanted. But I think if it was to be implemented as a cure, I think it would just definitely have to be available for everyone. But I think as of now, the first thing is just working on perfecting it, seeing if it can really work, and then we can talk about that later.
Interesting. I love it, man. Love it. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next topic of discussion for today. Another interesting stuff, and he's going to give insight on that as well. Development of swallowable medical devices at MIT. Wow, intriguing again. Fascinating. I would say ridiculous, huh? But maybe proper explanation at least, man. Like, okay, how?
Okay,
Device.
so yeah, MIT yet again.
Oh yeah,
With
yet
medical.
again.
But yeah, so the point of all these devices is to re-improvise, or let me say, to change the way with how these medical professionals diagnose diseases, with how these medical professionals monitor diseases themselves, since we've observed that some patients have had uncomfortabilities with the equipment or the machinery that they use. Maybe, let's say, if you're checking the heart rate, the breathing rate, your blood pressure, and things like that. So the point of these devices is they've created a small device that's similar to the size of a capsule. It has a transmitter in it, it has some microphone in it, and some other things that I won't talk about now. But the point of it is, if you swallow it, it is able to monitor your heart rate, it is able to monitor your breathing rate, and with the transmitter inside, it's able to send those signals outside to the machine close by, and then that machine will have to now more like translate that wave information into data that can be understandable by the professionals. So I think that's what I would say.
Okay, interesting. I agree, because I think if I remember very well, back in grade 4, it should be biology, I think we learned about some sort of device that helps in the functioning of the heart. Just don't remember the name, but again, that would be a major improvement, especially if we can bring about, and again, this is tech at its best, tech advancements, and MIT, those people don't really understand how they do things, but yet again, it's MIT, MIT things.
MIT things.
Okay, so to the last topic of discussion today, and we're gonna be out. Japan's flying car named CD -03. And I think I've been hearing of these flying cars, been hearing of Elon Musk, Tesla flying cars and stuff, now here in Japan. And this is something good again and intriguing. At the same time, you'll be like, truly, like, can it even be possible to have a car that's flying? But maybe some insight from me again here, so that people get to know more about this flying car.
Alright, so I think this is just one of those points where you just see how ridiculous technology can be in some way, and how better it can be. But yeah, so the point of it is they're just trying to have a different mode of transport. Yes, we do have planes and everything, but they're thinking of it in a perspective. Say, imagine if you have to be in the air alone, you have to control it alone with very less of complications with controls. It's like just having your car and then having it go in the air. So with Japan, what happened is they've had this, if I can call it a prototype, they plan on launching it in 2023, but on the 25th of August, they were able to launch this prototype, and report has it that it flew for 4 minutes actually with the man inside. So I think if you look at it to say if they want to launch it in 2023, and they were able to achieve flight with 4 minutes in 2020 with, I don't know, 2 or 3 years left, I think it's really massive for them. And if they are able to make this breakthrough, because I mean, hey, a lot of people actually want this. A lot of countries are trying to see if they can figure out a way to get a car into the air without very much of complications. But Japan seems to be really pulling it off, so heads up to them.
And concerning this, we've had space races in recent years. Do you think this would be another issue of maybe some sort of race? Because if you look at it, okay, what's the purpose of having a car flying? Isn't it sort of like trying to prove a point? Because I feel this is just just want to prove that we are good at technology. And Japan has been on it for a long time now, trying to go into head-on collision with different countries, claiming that that they lead in terms of technology. Yet again, we've got America, we've got China. But do you think there's an agenda to say, okay, they want to be first and they want to prove a point to say we've got the best guys in terms of tech? Or maybe it's just an issue to say, okay, yeah, it's one of those strides in technology. Or what really do you think?
Well, fact is, there's always an agenda.
Yeah, true.
Trust me on that. There's always an agenda, in as much as it could be beneficial to the world and everything. But there's always an agenda. But I think we should not turn a blind eye to the improvements it might bring and how good it is. One thing I've loved about such advancements is most of this, it's not necessarily that we're just focusing on maybe getting a car to fly in the air. You never know what technology you might come up with in the process. I would give an example of the space race.
Yeah, space race.
Way back, NASA was trying to develop a mechanism of tracking satellites when they go into space, and it is through those inventions of focusing on space that actually brought about the global geographical positioning system, which we call GPS.
Yeah, true.
And we've just seen how GPS has been so functionable and has improved our lives. So I think we just have to look to the bright side and just be optimistic.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so we are done for today. So these were our main topics that we're discussing, and I feel everyone out there has learned one or two things, and I'm sure you now know about something. We're not saying maybe go make that flying car.
But you can attempt to.
Yeah, but you can attempt to. But it was just some sort of educative program where you guys get to know about what's really happening in the science field, because I know a lot of people are lazy just to go on YouTube, try to no time to go on YouTube and just search for a flying car. But that's why we do this podcast show where we talk about different advancements in the science field. Yeah, it's Zambia, but sometimes also maybe try to reach out to the globe and also check what's really happening in those spaces that will bring out the very best. At least, did you know that there's a drug called CP231? No, but now development of swallowable medicine. No, but now Japan's flying car. Yeah, maybe you might have heard of Elon Musk, but I think you now got more insight from this discussion. So we're going to be ending our podcast now, but before we do that, Jones, a few words to the viewers and especially to these young students that are coming up and want to venture in this massive and beautiful field of science.
Well, just like you said, it's a beautiful and massive field of science, and what can I say? We just have to be open-minded, do our research, be able to study, practice our things, and who knows, you never know what you could be, you never know what solution you could bring to the world, and you just have to be open-minded. And then to the viewers, like I said earlier, just like it, subscribe, and share it. And stay tuned, because a lot more is coming. We'll be here to update you with almost everything that we can be able to cater for in this program. So
for me, Caleb Munemo, we're out now. It's been Jones and Caleb on the Science Advancement Podcast Show. Make sure you love, share, and subscribe. Okay, maybe my accent today sounds different, but some excitement. Okay, see you.